Hello friends, welcome to my channel Creating Essence. I am Megan and I'm so glad you're here today. I am joining the very sweet Mariah of The Babcocks in a collaboration about how the garden season went. Mariah is really fantastic about keeping track of totals and how much her plants produced, how much that would have cost in the store to figure out how much money she saved. So head on over to her channel and check that out. But hang on a second and wait until the end of this video to see the surprise that we both have in store for you. You're not going to want to miss it. Our fall garden is just getting going. We planted it over the past month and we won't have a frost for 4 to 6 weeks. So I'm just going to be talking about our spring and summer garden this year. We did a lot of new trials, tried a lot of new things. Some worked really well for us and some were total bombs. To start off, we tried a new potting soil. I've talked about this a few times. I'm not going to belabor it. But in short, I think we got a bad batch because it was awful. And I know of at least 2 other people who got the same soil from the same source and also had those kinds of experiences. So I'm guessing it was a bad batch. We had to replant a couple of times, but ultimately things worked out pretty well. We had that new section of the garden that the chickens tilled up for us during the winter, and I expected that to grow a little slower, and it met my expectations, but it also exceeded it in some ways. That new section of the garden is where I planted 3 different kinds of kale, and all of them did amazing. So well. And I was really pleased with that. Unfortunately, the southern pest we have come to know down here in Virginia as the harlequin bug decimated our kale. We tried all the tricks, but before we figured out what would really work on them, they had taken out all of our kale crops, all of our cucumbers, and started to take a toll on some of our peppers too. Thankfully, we found a good, truly organic method of getting rid of them, so we were able to save the rest of our peppers from their damage, but it did take a serious toll on those crops in our summer garden. We also had an incredible lettuce crop this spring, which was new for me. I had never planted lettuce that early, but I had also never had a really successful lettuce crop that wasn't really bitter from the heat. I am from upstate New York, like up near Canada, so my experience gardening as a kid is a lot different than it needs to be here, closer to the North Carolina border in Virginia. So this year was a really successful year figuring out some of those nuances of how early I really can plant things. I also took advantage of a grab bag of seeds at the Homesteaders of America conference last year in 2018 and ended up getting 13 different kinds of tomatoes to plant this year. There were a few that I loved and I will totally plant in coming years, like the Black Sea Man. And then there were things like the yellow stuffer that I will just give away the remaining packet I have because my people were not a fan of the texture and they were incredibly prolific, but we just didn't really like them very much. We also really focused on getting herbs into the permaculture blueberry bed behind me. And I am really glad we did that. I was able to dehydrate a good amount of almost every single herb that we put in. Some things didn't do so well because it's a new Back to Eden bed, and sometimes in that first year they can be a little finicky because of the nitrogen imbalance, but I have every confidence that next year is going to be dynamite. And our cupboards have plenty of herbs dehydrated for the year to come. We were able to eat fresh and can more tomatoes than we ever have before. I have dehydrated and stored a really good amount, I think 2 quarts of sun-dried cherry tomatoes. We have lots of peppers of all kinds, canned and frozen for various usage. And I'm really pleased with how we were able to do better at putting things up for later use this year, in addition to using everything fresh as much as we needed. I am really looking forward to this next gardening year to incorporate all the things that we learned this year. I feel like I had so many more successes and ironed out some nuances of other things in gardening this year that next year, if the weather is kind to us, should be dynamite. speaking of planning the upcoming garden year, that brings me to the surprise. While we were at the Homesteaders of America conference, a gentleman named Clyde pulled me aside and asked if he could give me items to give away on the channel, and I was so excited to do this. He gave us a whole explanation of what this fantastic little gardening tool is, and it is useful for beginners on up to veterans. It is useful whether you have a container on your back patio or a huge acre-sized garden.
Hello, my name is Clyde, and we're here at the Homesteading of America event. And I have my vegetable planting slide chart here. I'd love to show it to you. What you do is you slide the red frost line to your local frost date wherever you live. Once it's in place, each column is a week, and it gives you the first outdoor planting date for each garden vegetable, starting with the cole crops to plant ahead of the frost, but waiting until it's safe with things like peppers and tomatoes, planting after the frost. The green check marks give you the expected harvest dates, and there's a little legend there. And the indoor seeding dates are marked so you know when you can put your little seedlings out, and that save a lot of money by doing your own seedlings. And it's nice to see the whole gardening season in a snapshot. And you flip it up and pull it open, and it gives you the seed quantity, planting depth, distance between rows and between plants so you don't get them too congested, the sunlight requirements in case you have shaded areas, the minimum soil temperature. You can get a cheap thermometer, check the soil, make sure that it's not too cold for germination. The expected yield, like pounds of green beans per 10-foot row, and the natural companions for companion planting where the roots nourish one another. These are the companions of those. This is the spring side of the chart. Flip it over, slide it to your fall frost date, last planting week to have a nice fall garden. We always have good fall gardens. I highly recommend doing a fall garden. If you don't know your frost dates, the instructions come with the frost dates for the United States and Canada, so you can send one to your sister in Seattle or your brother in Boston.
I was really blown away at this handy little tool. I am always second guessing myself on when, what, and how, just again the nuances of things. So I really felt like this could be an added confidence, if nothing else, to kind of help me and give me some tips in ensuring that I'm getting things right, as long as I'm keeping an eye on my local weather to make sure that the variances from year to year are taken into consideration. I have 2 of these planters, as well as some packets of some of the more rare and unique seeds from Baker Creek to give away to you all. All you have to do to enter this giveaway is leave a comment down below that you would like to be entered. That is it. Today is Friday the 18th, and exactly 1 week from now on Thursday night, we will be drawing the winners and announcing that on Friday morning. Speaking of we, my friend Mariah over at the Babcocks is also giving away 2 of these planters. Each will come with a packet of these unique seeds from Baker Creek. So for 2 more chances to win, head on over to her video and leave a comment in her comment section as well. She'll be giving away 2, and I will be giving away 2. So in total, that is 4 chances to win. Thank you all so much for joining me today and joining both Mariah and I for this collaboration. And let me know if you have ever heard of Mr. Clyde's garden planters before. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. As always, give us a thumbs up if you liked what you saw here, and subscribe to hang out for more. We will see you again soon.